Good morning, YouTube. This is Chuck, and it's Friday, January 10th, 2025, and a little after 4:30 in the morning, and I'm up kind of early. And yeah, I woke up about 3:30 and needed to go potty, and after I went back to bed, I got to thinking about something that happened yesterday, and I'm down here in my living room, and you can see I'm all bundled up because I don't heat the living room. And I walked in here this morning and it was 51 degrees in here, so I've got the fire cranked up. But I'm sitting here in a warm hoodie and a beanie, but I want to tell you a story about something that happened yesterday. And in order to tell you that, like a lot of the things I do, I need to give you some backstory, and then I'm going to read you some emails. Because I had something happen yesterday that was quite extraordinary and quite sad as well. So I'm on the small screen with you this morning, and so let me give you some backstory. Now, you all know that I spent many years as a firefighter. In fact, I'm wearing an old work shirt right now that you can see logo down there in the corner from the last place I worked. And I just wear it early in the morning in the cold months and around the house. And so even after all these years, it's still in pretty good shape, and it's pretty warm. Anyway, much of my career, I actually was a supervisor. I got promoted pretty early on, and so I wasn't always the guy riding on the truck. I had a crew, and I had an assigned fire department vehicle. Most of the time, it was an SUV. I had several over the years, but and I kept that with me anytime I was on call. So I had it at my house, and I worked in a small town, and we didn't have a lot of staff, and so we spent a lot of time on call. And that would mean that if we had a call that sounded fairly serious, then the chief officer, we called him the duty chief, the chief officer would respond from his home. If he was on duty, obviously he'd respond from the station, but if he was off duty on call, then he'd respond from the house. And as the town got bigger over the years, it was got to be the point where we almost never got a full night's sleep, because we'd almost always get called out sometime during the night. And then you'd respond along with the unit, the rig, and then assist as necessary. Well, this is a retirement town, and so even now the fire department, the vast majority of the calls they run are medical. And being a retirement town, there's a lot of incidences where we have a husband and wife, and something happens to the husband. And when you have a case like that, and we ran a lot of what we call heart strokes and falls, and if you respond to a call with a gentleman that has a heart attack, for example, and you really have two patients. You have him, but you also have the wife, because she's traumatized by this, especially if it's a serious thing. And we have calls. We had a lot of calls, what we call cardiac arrest calls, where somebody has a heart attack and their heart quits beating, and we refer to them in the trade. They're referred to as codes. And so anytime that the unit got dispatched to a possible code, we'd send a fire truck with a crew, and we also send a private ambulance company, and then the fire department supervisor would respond as well. And for many years, that quite a lot of the time that would be me. And so what I would do is when we get over to the scene, then the crew would be working on the patient, of course, and the engine crew and the ambulance crew, and we ran paramedics off the engine, and they had paramedics on the ambulance, and everybody kind of worked together to work on the patient. Well, a lot of times there wouldn't be anybody there with the wife, and so I would take it upon myself to explain to her what's going on, and sometimes take her into another room where she didn't have to watch what was going on, because especially if you're doing CPR and defibrillating people and stuff, it's pretty dramatic, and a lot of times it's better that the wife doesn't see that. So I would take her into the other room, in the kitchen or something, and I'd start talking to her, and I'd tell her that their troops are doing exactly what they'd be doing in the ER if he was in the ER, and the same protocols and the same drugs, and then after the patient was transported, there'd be a period of time when the wife would need some kind of support. She would, if she didn't have anybody with her, then I'd stay with her, and until we could either get a friend or a relative or a neighbor or somebody from her church or somebody would come to be with her, because the last thing you want to do is leave somebody like that alone. Well, sometimes it involved the mom and dad live up here where we're at, and their kids live down in the big city, and it'd be taking about 2 hours to get here generally. And so there'd be times when I'd sit with the patient's wife for a couple hours until her children got there. And sometimes they would say, are you sure you have time to stay with me? And one of the things I always used to tell them, and most of the time this was true, and occasionally it wasn't, but I would just tell them, I said, there's absolutely nothing I need to do right now that's any more important than to just be here with you for this time. And I didn't think it was right to leave people like that, just walk off and leave them alone. And so anyway, that's kind of the lead up to what happened. And I want to read you an email that I got yesterday morning. And I'm going to change a name or two on this, and I'm going to leave a little bit of it out, because I didn't ask this lady if I could tell this story, but I think it's an important story that needs to be told. So I'm going to be reading off my laptop. So if I'm looking away from the screen, that's what's going on. So I've also been having some computer issues here, and every once in a while my computer goes wonky on me. I hope it won't do that while I'm doing this. So I got this. This was written on the 9th, and excuse me. It was written on the evening, I believe, the evening of the 8th, I believe. And I opened it up yesterday morning. I think I got it during the night. So, dear Chuck, thank you so much for all your videos on Sasquatch. My husband and I became avid followers of your channel. We learned so much from you. Thank you. We now recognize that some of the experiences we have had here in Minnesota with tree knocking sounds and footsteps and possibly squirrels and deer were them. My dear husband, I'm going to call him John, died yesterday in the little town in Minnesota where we live near our home. The paramedics could not save him, and my dowsing friends tell me that he is still around. I am worried that maybe he has unfinished business and is unable to leave yet. Do your friends have any messages for me from him or regarding him? I am, and I'm going to call her Mary. That's not her real name, but that's what I'm going to call her in this video. And anyway, and she goes on a little bit about her background. One beautiful experience I had with the Squatchies, as we call them, was experiencing the most beautiful smell of blueberry pie in the middle of nowhere with no pies around. I know they can do that to make people feel comfortable. They scan our minds and they send us the smell that is most beautiful to you. And they can send you not so beautiful smells as well, and we know they can do that. They've told us that they can control that. And anyway, she goes on to tell a little bit more about her background, and she says, I wish I could be as good at mind speak as you are. They are probably trying to reach out. I wish I could see or hear my husband as well. It was so unexpected. Well, I read through that, and my first thought was, I can't imagine that this lady it's so important that the day after her husband dies, that she feels that she needs to reach out to some guy on YouTube. And so I went about some errands on my morning, and I got to thinking about that. And I came back a little bit later in the morning, and I read it again. And when I read it the second time, I actually got a tingle. And I responded back to it. And so I sat down, it was about noon by that time, and so I sat down and I wrote an answer to her. And I said, Mary, my friend, I am so sorry to hear about your husband's unexpected passing. My heart goes out to you. As you probably know from watching my channel, I'm a retired firefighter medic, and I have been on the responder side of calls like this more times than I care to remember. And every one was a tragedy for the families involved. I'm sure that the paramedics and other responders did everything that they could, but it was simply not to be. When I first read your email earlier today, I was not sure what to say to you. When I reread it a little while ago, I actually got the tingle. letting me know that they were here and were aware of your message. I responded back and asked if there was anything that I could tell you from them. I seem to have gotten something to the effect that they share your grief and that they offer their condolences. I also got a name, Yarrow, an adult male, I believe. I don't know if that name means anything to you, but that's what I got. There's also more that they've tried to tell me, but at this point I have not been able to understand what the message is. I think they have and will try to communicate with you, and maybe after the shock of what happened passes, you may be able to develop the ability to hear their messages. Some of their messages are very subtle, and I have found that meditation techniques help me clear my mind of the mental clutter that prevents me from hearing them. You may want to try that. I wish you the best during this most difficult time. Well, I sent her that a little bit after noon yesterday. Well, yesterday evening, after dinner, I sat down in my chair and watching the evening news, and once again, I got the tingle. And I responded back, as I always do. And I'm trying to find that. Okay, here I got it. Anyway, I responded back as I always do. I said, I can feel that. Thank you. You can make it stronger if you like. And it was a very, very strong, powerful energy. And I had a conversation with Yarrow. And he told me some things. And let me read the email that I sent back to Mary. I said, Hi, Mary. I hope that you are doing well as possible under the circumstances. It is just after 6 p.m. here on January 9th, and I just had an amazing MindSpeak conversation with Yarrow, who I mentioned in my email to you earlier today. Yarrow is a 92-year-old male, an elder from your area in Minnesota, and he has a very strong and powerful energy. He told me that they know you, that they will be watching over you, and that you will have a 32-year-old female named Grace who will be with you to assist you. I spoke with Grace as well, and she has a very soft and gentle energy. She will try to contact you by MindSpeak to let you know that she is there. You may first feel her presence in the form of a gentle, loving energy. If you want to communicate with her, just talk to her. This was just extraordinary, and is the first time that I've been tasked with something like this. I am honored that they have the trust in me to have me act as a communications link for them. I hope that I have been of some assistance and comfort to you during this difficult time. If I can be of any assistance to you in any way, feel free to contact me. My cell number is. Again, I offer my deepest condolences over the sudden and unexpected loss of your husband. Well, that's what I sent back to her, and then a little bit later, I got this message from her. Chuck, I am honored and so very touched by your attention and kindness. Thank you. I have a feeling that my husband is also thrilled about it and honored. This is truly amazing. I will give you a call in a day or two. My utmost gratitude to you, Yarrow and Grace, from me and my husband. Even now, thinking about it right now, and you might be able to tell, that's bringing a little bit of a tear to my eye. That same thing that kicked in all those years ago, kicked in yesterday. And I thought to myself, there's absolutely nothing I have to do that is more important than to try to reach out and see if I can be of some assistance to Mary. And I'm actually choking up here a little bit. I used to be a tough old bird, but boy, I'm not so tough in my old age. So anyway, that happened just yesterday, and I felt that the story was worth telling you. But that's not the only thing that happened yesterday, and I've got another one here, and I want to read that one to you, and I need to find it here on the computer. I'm going to read you another email that I got yesterday, and it's another one from Southwest Virginia. And this lady told me that I can feel free to use her name, so I will. And she said, "Hi, Chuck. Anyway, she had reached out to me earlier, and I'd answered her. But anyway, she says, thanks for your quick response. I'm interested in the others around my area, including the edge of Kentucky near Harlan County. I live in Lee County near the tip of Southwest Virginia. There are sightings and experiencers here, but I don't know who they are. We even have a restaurant named Wood Boogers because of several sightings in Wise County. If I ever get back there, I'm going to eat there. But I worry because there was once a $10,000 bounty for a sabe. Many people call the Sasquatch sabe. Later, a proclamation to honor them was written. From what I've seen of the locals during my 5-year stay here, they pretty much shoot anything. So I pray for sabe daily. Yes, please give out my email and this letter and pics if you like. I would like to connect with others to see if they haven't encountered the Father. And she refers to this one as the Father. What made the Father so distinct was a sizable chunk of his nostril was missing. When I briefly saw his face in a mind picture, we call that a visual, my response was ouch, because it looked like it must have hurt some kind of bad and was a bit light reddish compared to his black shiny facial skin. I've only lived here 5 years. My contact with sabe started when I had what I thought to be a heart attack back in April of 2024. I'm 70 years old. Turned out to be a small portion of my lung that had collapsed. That's when the teenager, sabe, so he has another one that she refers to as the teenager, came into my life by throwing pebbles at me while I was working on my deck. As my lung was healing, I was chair-bound and alone with the exception of 5 house cats. Wait until I tell you that story. I spent a great deal of time staring at the mountains from my living room window and the other mountain from the deck out back. A lot. I started practicing meditation to help with the pain and anxiety. Although I've been a non-practicing natural intuitive all my life, I never tried to harness the gift. Things just happen, and I gotta say what a wild ride it has been with this teenager sabe. That's when all hell broke loose, because of that teenager. I didn't know it at the time, and that's when I started watching YouTube stuff. Bigfoot and UAPs from Langley Air Force Base reportedly kept coming up. That's where I'm from. Finally, in my stupor, I started connecting the dots to all these strange things happening and gifts being left at my car door. Nothing made any sense until the wooden branch X and the branch stuffed in the crack of my tree made me realize what was going on. I was surprised and delighted that he had chosen me and my cats to be his personal toy to humor himself. What he did initially caused me great grief and fear with the propane company, electric company, and a host of doctors that believed I was totally out of my mind. But that's another very long story. The teenager came several more times to let me know it was him. No question. That's when Dad stepped in, and one word was said: disgusting. Now, I could take that 2 ways. Either Papa was disgusted with his son's behavior, or Papa was disgusted with me. I sensed it was the latter. The type of communication was extraordinary and surprising. I've never encountered responses to questions well before I ever finished asking the question. I've run into that frequently as well, especially if a question involves a number. Sometimes before you have a chance to even ask the question, you get the number in your head. And the clarity of the mind pics was astounding. Sadly, the new medications I'm taking now prevent me from focusing, so my contact with sabe is slacked off. I still find gifts of rocks and fossils. I am a lover of such things. I actually never dwelled on Bigfoot stuff during my long life until now. I never enjoyed the sun, sand, and sea during the 60 years I lived in Hampton Roads, smack dab in the middle of 8 military installations. Dad was Air Force. Like a dandelion, our family took root in Virginia. But I always headed to the Poconos, Smoky Mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains, and the Monongahela Forest for my vacations with camera in tow. My wanderlust was so apparent, or maybe karma is at play here. So when Mom passed away, there was no longer a reason to stay. I packed my bags in a moving van, and I followed my bliss to my beloved mountains. Chuck, you convinced me not to deny it was happening. I am glad your videos showed up on YouTube. It wasn't just a bunch of woo-woo or bad juju. It was very real. I'm glad I did accept it, and I feel very honored that the teenager chose me to drive me and my cats totally nuts. More on that in my next letter. If he speaks with you, Chuck, please ask him his name and his father's so I can try to focus on it a little better. Now that I know it is him, I can deal with it without thinking dementia is setting in. Keep up the good work. You have my permission to use my letter and info. Gretchen. And she sent me some pictures of some stuff. So Gretchen, thank you for sending that letter, and thank you for allowing me to share it. I have not got back with Gretchen yet. I plan to, but I thought I would share that letter. That just came in yesterday as well. And also yesterday, I heard from a couple of my regulars, and that's Tony from North Carolina checked in, and I also heard Alabama Al checked in. I haven't heard from him in a while, and both of them are doing fine. And so figured I'd share that with you. Those of you that have been following my videos for a while know that I've been back and forth with both of these folks for quite a while. So I keep wanting to get on with another subject, but this stuff still keeps happening, and I know that you like this stuff. And so anyway, it's real early, cold in the living room when I came in, and the fireplace warming it up now, but it's still a bit chilly. So figured I'd share you with this one early this morning. I'll try to get it uploaded right away before the internet gets busy and my Wi-Fi slows down. And so as I always tell you, take care of each other and love each other and take care of yourself. And the crazy train just keeps on rolling and things keep happening. And Mary, if you watch this, I hope I've helped you a little bit. And I know you're going through some very difficult times. And I've, it's not the first time I've dealt with somebody that's been going through this, and you definitely have my deepest sympathy, and I hope some of my viewers will reach out to you in the comments and with their sympathy as well. I hope it helps you make it through the day just a little bit better. So for right now, until I talk to you again, let me just tell you, peace out.